Hi, everyone. I'm Imam Zulkarnain Abdul Shahi, and the founder and president of Beitul Jamaat House of Community. And this is our second series of a youth-led forum. And welcome to all. We appreciate your attendance. And we are an organization, a faith-based organization that deal with the community needs, which are vast. And these are one of the ways or programs that we have in collaboration with the other organizations in order to foster educational programs to the youths throughout our community. I'll now introduce my wife and co-founder, Jamila LaSalle, for this forum. Thank you all for coming.
Good evening, all. I think we're having technical difficulties because I don't see anybody on the screen.
Oh, we hear you. Please continue.
Okay. I guess there's not much to say. My husband kind of said it all, but my name is Jamila Sal. I am the executive director to Beitul Jamaat House of Community, whose mission is to provide food security, educational series, advocacy support, and mental health and the awareness to the underserved population, starting right here in our home base, Staten Island. This is one of our many few collaborative efforts, that we have joined forces with TISA. And now at this second part, youth's workshop, we are now joining. We have some new partners, shall I say, bringing in Central Family Life Center and Staten Island Urban Center. And this platform, this workshop platform today will be youth led. I can believe the moderator is Miss Shanice Rodriguez. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes. And so I won't say much. I'll then pass the baton over to Sean. And Sean, I guess if there's nothing else to say, we can again have Shanice speak. Thank you
Jamila.
all.
We'll hand it to Shanice. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamila. Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Shanice Rodriguez, and I am a youth consultant with TISA. TISA is a coalition of individuals and over 50 organizations dedicated to improving the behavioral health of youth on Staten Island. TISA partners work collectively to decrease youth substance use rates and improve their mental health outcomes, which is why we're here this evening. I want to thank TISA, House of Community, and YouthWINS Coalition, Staten Island Urban Center, Central Family Life, and True to Life for their participation in this event. So tonight we are holding space for young people to speak from the heart and give their experiences. We hope to hear from some of the young people here today about how young people are managing mentally and emotionally during this crisis. Where can there be more services put in place to support them? And if something has been working for a young person, what strategies have been helping them during this time? Before we get into the discussion, though, we're going to hold in a little check-in, and we'll be opening with an activity that we can all get involved in. We're going to screen an 8-minute video. And depending on the first letter of your name, you're going to know one of 3 things in the clip. So for example, my name begins with S, Shanice, so I'm in group 3. So we're going by first names, not last names. So since my name starts with S, I would be noting things from the video of what I was feeling or what the video made me feel. So take a moment to just see what group you're in, and then we'll start the video. I think we stopped screen sharing, Sean.
Sorry. I'm back.
As we enter into a post-COVID-19 world, our practice of youth development through youth involvement has become key in assisting young people transition from life standing still, quarantine in their homes or places of shelter, to a world where they're truly being asked to pretend to be normal, to come out but be socially distant, to wear a mask but don't breathe, to operate in imaginary bubbles of space but don't burst it, where smiles are hidden by masks and hugs no longer exist. We worked with over 100 youth this spring and summer on a 100% virtual platform, and here is a glimpse of their new normal.
Hello everybody, my name is Ali Samor.
Hi, my name is Angeli Stokes, but I prefer Angie.
Hey, it's Shemaya.
Hi everyone, my name is Amina Khalifa.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Rosales.
Hello, my name is Enrique Rodriguez.
Hi, my name is Mariam Ibrahim.
My name is Rajay Drayton, but most people call me Bree.
Hi, my name is Leslie Vasquez.
Hello everyone, my name is Joseph Hernandez.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Galar.
Hi, my name is Tatiana.
My name is Joey Mignetti. You can call me Jojo for short. My friends call me Joey Salad for stupid reasons.
My name is Anthony Richardson, and this is my quarantine cuisine.
March 19th, I came back from Syracuse. 111 days inside. 2,664 hours without contact with the outside world. July 9th was my first time outside.
6 birthdays missed, 4 parties skipped.
March 12th. Diagnosed cases of COVID exceed 1,000.
3 metro swipes per day unless weekends. 6 programs a week, about 2 hours.
5 relatives passed, 10 pounds, 100 clothing items to wash back.
Looking forward to April 15th. 3 tournaments canceled, 8 practices missed. Looking forward to May 15th.
March 15th. Schools shut down. March 17th. Trump delivered his final briefing for the month, laced in lies and self-praise as always. My family, however, stocked up on food.
8 hours in school at least 5 days a week. Normal.
3 drive-bys done, 11 TikToks made, 65 pictures printed, 2 vacations canceled. Doesn't look like we're coming back.
March 22nd, my doctor's office closed and I missed 21 appointments since then.
17 years of normal. 12 days in 17, normal was non-existent. Everything before stopped. March 13th, my school closed. About 20 Zoom calls a week.
August 10th. I'm back in Syracuse, feeling free again.
March 23rd, found only 1 box of gloves and masks locally. No rubbing alcohol.
100 days till phase 1, 2 birthdays missed. 1 congrats drive-through.
April 1st, I got a runny nose and started to get paranoid about COVID symptoms.
July 19th, first time seeing my friends since March.
How are you guys? How's everyone feeling? You guys don't seem so excited. That's okay. Just came back from the weekend. I know it's Monday.
Great. All right, thank you all for attending today.
Hey, what's good? It's the other meeting. Hey.
All right, good day to all. This is the Black Lives Matter Even in Staten Island broadcast.
So my name is Elijah Scott, and the Black Lives Matter movement has been very impactful, and it's been a very strong movement, and I'm just proud of everybody who's been stepping up and stuff like that, and also proud of the youth.
If we really want peace and unity in a post-Black Lives Matter world, then everyone has to have equal rights and equal treatment.
The LGBTQ community has been attacked for so many reasons, but the key reason has to do with their sexuality and gender. A discussion about the differences and challenges faced by this community could create empathy and understanding.
One topic I felt should be added to our curriculum is the discussions of All Lives Matter and Black Lives Matter.
I think criminal justice should be considered in all school curriculums. One topic we should cover is police brutality and why is it wrong.
A topic that I think that should be included in the curriculum is government funding.
Okay, you just move your camera down a little bit. There you go.
Would help understand the government relationship with our community.
One thing that I might miss, like before COVID, is like the feel of going to school or just traveling.
The early days of COVID-19 gave the Staten Island Urban Center the opportunity to self-examine our programming and be forward-focused in our thinking as we entered into this new normal of virtual communications, while the world stood still and social justice issues raged. Our participants use art and commentary to process all that is going on in the world. They read, they wrote, they created art, they broadcasted, they took action. Young people handed out PPE and food, discussed ideas and dreams for a post-Black Lives Matter world, created and curated art as self-expression and self-preservation, and they shared their techniques of survival, having to step up by cooking, handling isolation, taking care of family. In the midst of these times, we need to support young people because they have a quest. In 1992, John Bess, a mentor and scholar of youth development, told young people that the future and rebuilding of America is totally in their hands.
Our generation and previous generations have failed to win the battles over racism, miseducation, unemployment, and social deterioration. We have not provided the leadership, vision, and strength to protect every human being from starvation, poverty, illicit drugs, crime, and homelessness. Unless you rise up, speak up, act up, and get fired up, our condition will remain the same. You must educate yourself and read extensively, train intensively. Strengthen your mind, body, and soul physically, intellectually, and spiritually. You must do all that is necessary to prepare yourself to survive and eliminate the violence. You must strive to secure your position of power and importance in order to serve and assist our brothers and sisters, friends, and community. You must master the art of the positive to unlock the key to eliminate greed, cruelty, brutality, and domination. Creating positive change is power. Learning is power. Doing is power. Helping is power. Action is power. Teaching is power. Changing is the power.
All right. So now we're gonna go into discussion. Would anyone from group one, so that's people with the first letter of their name being A through H. Does anyone want to speak about how that video, what you saw in the video specifically?
My name is Enrique, and what I saw, especially in the beginning, was just a bunch of youth coming together on Zoom and making the most out of the situation, working through, communicating with each other through this platform.
Thank you, Enrique. Would anyone else from group one like to say something?
Hi, my name is Angelica. My pronouns are she, they. I am a youth consultant for TISA. And some things that I saw, well, one of the most thing that stood out to me was just community, just seeing a lot of community. I know it was online, but community nonetheless. And I just want to say that I really appreciate the encapsulation of just like the whole experience of being in quarantine in like the past year and like the struggles. So kudos to y'all.
Thank you, Angelica. Does anyone else from group one like to go? Okay, we're gonna move to group two. So anyone with the first names I through Q, could you please explain what you hear in the video, what you heard in the video?
Well, my name is Lisa, and in the beginning, I heard dog barking. I noticed everyone had a different audio quality. There's a lot of preppy music. People overlapping with each other, telling how many they missed of something. People in a youth call, an angry mob. Was I supposed to name everything? Sorry, I just named everything.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you, Malaysia. Anyone else from group 2? Okay, moving on to group 3. So if your first name starts with P through Z, can you please explain what you felt while watching the video? We have some engagement in the chat, so I'm just going to read what it says. Sean said, I heard some grief/loss, people missing out on opportunities. I guess I can also speak because I am in group 3. I heard, well, I felt specifically like really sad because there was one, it was towards the beginning of the video where a girl was saying how it went from, you know, being in school for 8 hours, 7-8 hours, and then having 20 Zoom calls a week, which is like, it just goes to show you how important in-person meeting is. Like, it's, people think that, you know, it'll, you know, if you do a bunch of Zoom calls, it'll make up for it, but it doesn't. It won't beat like in-person learning. So it made me just feel really sad that that they had to, you know, do Zoom calls that many times a week. That's crazy. Does anyone else want to add before we move on?
Well, now that I said that, I want to say I noticed that most people would take advantage of like Zoom calls and be like before, if you were sick, you didn't feel well, you could stay home from school. But now that like we were on online school, we didn't have an excuse. And if I came to a Zoom call and said I didn't come just because I didn't well, people would just suck tea. I feel like people took advantage of like the Zoom calls and made like nobody have an excuse now. Or people felt like they couldn't have off day. It's just a Zoom call. All you have to do log in and be in a class and get out. But it's more than that. That's
Right, definitely. Thank you, Malaysia. So I'm opening the floor one last time for any last thoughts. All right. Thank you for participating in that. It's really interesting to see everybody's views. And now I want to transition to our young people sharing some of like their thoughts that they've prepared for this evening. And while we prepare for that, I'm going to start us off with just talking a little bit about my own experiences with my brother and how he's managing stress, and in turn me and my family. So my younger brother is autistic and he's 13. When the pandemic started, he was, I want to say 11 going on 12. And for him, it's been really hard because we saw changes, like negative changes immediately, like the first month of the pandemic. His school specifically teaches him things like eye contact and like, you know, being engaged during conversations, because that's something, depending on where you are on the spectrum of autism, eye contact can be a very difficult thing for you. So for him, we saw immediately, like just a week not being in school and like interacting with other kids and like having his because he does like a group therapy thing where they just help him with social skills and stuff, just like not being removed from that and not being able to do that weekly or daily rather, it was immediately, it was detrimental. Like he would no longer like be able to look at me in the eye when I spoke to him. It was really hard to hold conversations with him. It's gotten a little better now that he's back in school, but it's still not the way it used to be and all the progress he made. just felt like it was erased in a week of him just being online. And not only that, but specifically for not all autistic kids, but for a lot of autistic kids, being in a routine is such a big thing. Like if they're not in a routine, and if they're not like, okay, we're waking up at 7 a.m., getting ready to school, going to school, staying there until 3, then coming home, like that, if they don't have that structure, everything kind of falls apart. And his school was like mandating him to be on Zoom like 3 times a day, which was insane. And there was no way that was going to happen. And because of it, he suffered a lot of absences during 2020. Like his 2020 attendance sheet was very sparse because it was just, they were demanding a lot out of these kids like online. And it was just really hard to me also as like his older sister taking classes and stuff. It was really stressful to have that like burden of getting him up early and doing this, you know what I mean? So that was really hard. He's doing better now, of course, but it was tough in the beginning. So yeah, we're still learning ways on how to manage that, and strategies that'll, we're learning strategies on how to manage the changes, but still haven't come up with anything concrete. But now I'm just gonna hand it over to Angelica to share next.
Hey y'all. So for me, I think my experience might be similar to many of the population during quarantine. I wasn't really stressed out about school because I had taken a break, but I was still working at the time. And so when everything had gotten shut down, it was very stressful in the sense because we had to switch to online, and I was working in a school as well. So I was in the same boat as many students and teachers and faculty that had to transition all of the teaching programs and what they were doing in school to on Zoom. And then it didn't really get better because we lose people during the pandemic and stuff like that, either due to COVID or natural disaster, natural things. And so that happened to me as well. And then it came to losing my job in the middle of 2020. And so that was another stressor. And so in managing all of that, a lot of it came from like family support and friend support, and having that support system to be there and tell you like, hey, it's okay, like things are gonna like work out eventually. And eventually they did, because I went back to school and I got another job. And it's still pretty stressful, considering that, we're in school. We still have to manage COVID restrictions, and everything is not back to normal, but everybody wants everything to seem like it's back to normal. And that can bring up some feelings because, we are kind of being thrown back into an environment that is not normal. There are some changes, and we're just expected to kind of get by and to do as we did pre-COVID. But as some of us may experience, that is not the case. We are still going through a pandemic. We are still going through a lot of the lingering stressors from quarantine, where like health and everything like that. And so I can definitely relate to a lot of young people and, like I said, faculty who may be struggling to, figure out how to balance between in-person, either classes or teaching classes, and work and social life and all this. I mean, it can become a lot, but I think for me, managing all that has to do with who's with you, who's your support system. That is my only advice to y'all. So thank you.
Thank you, Angelica, for sharing. Now I'm going to pass it to Zarasia. Okay, they actually just um, put in the chat their response. Zuri just said, my mic's being funny, but there are multiple ways to help youth with mental health, such as asking how they're doing, giving reassurance, providing practical help, developing a routine, and being a role model. Especially in a time such as now, with everything being more difficult than usual, it's important we stay in touch with these tactics. It's important to just be there and be supportive of us as we go through a field of emotions. It all makes a difference. Thank you for sharing that. That's great. Now I'm gonna pass it to Courtney.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Courtney. I'm the Special Project Assistant for TISA and SIPCW. So what I really wanted to focus on a lot when it comes to managing stress is more so just how the pandemic has impacted me, and I think a lot of you guys in like the academic education world. I know that for me, when we were online on Zoom, it was very much out of nowhere initially. But as time went by of us being on Zoom and getting accustomed to like the remote setting, things did become easier. And I even found out there was more opportunity for me to have time to do a lot of other things, even aside from my school assignments and stuff. However, I feel that when we went back to in person for the fall semester, in my personal opinion, I felt like it wasn't the smoothest return in that regard. And there's a couple of reasons behind that. I think the first reason is that they didn't really prepare students on, what's to come when we do go back in person, really. I felt that, when it came to going in person, a lot of like the criteria and like the expectations that were put on students was as if it was pre the pandemic and before the everything has secured and stuff. And I believe because of that, and they didn't allow such a smooth leeway for students to kind of get accustomed back to going in person. I feel like in a way it definitely has, increased, my stress personally, because having to get accustomed to going back in person and getting back and getting used to commuting and then also having to commute if you have other activities in school such as clubs, or if you're an athlete and you're part of an athletic club and stuff and you're getting accustomed to that as well, it can be definitely hard to get back to the norm of what was before when everything has changed and become so different. So I know that like for me, it was very stressful, like my fall semester, because it was like all the assignments that I was able to do kind of easily spring semester in my first year of being all fully remote and stuff got 10 times harder when it was in person. And I had other responsibilities that were also in person as well. And personally for like my academic program, they didn't really do the greatest with accommodating students with that. And I know that for my school we actually did have a Zoom meeting to discuss that, because there were so many students complaining about the same thing, that like a lot of like the expectations that they were putting on students now isn't really fair considering the circumstances and considering that we didn't really have time to get accustomed like we did with Zoom. Like at least for Zoom, we were online for pretty much 2 years. So we had time to kind of get used to that mindset and stuff. However, for going back to schooling, it was kind of like a rush. So like I know that for me, that definitely did bring up a lot of stress, and I do see that a lot with students as well, like especially, which is kind of getting accustomed to seeing people in person again and engaging with people like classmate wise and stuff. It can definitely be difficult in an in-person setting. So that's really, like where I'm personally seeing a lot of like the difficulty with managing stress in that regard, because of the fact that I felt that we just were not prepared enough to go back to a normal setting, or more so there weren't enough alternative discussion being made to help prepare us to get back to that like normal like setting up before the pandemic so that we can be set up to do well in school. But that's my personal experience. I'm not sure if anyone else can relate to that, but I know that for me it was a lot.
Thank you, Courtney. I definitely can relate. I'm gonna pass it next to Enrique.
Hello. For me, quarantine, a big factor of the stress that I had to deal with was just compounded by the fact that I was isolated from being alone, at least physically. And for me, it was hard, feeling, you know, the community that I would feel being in school, or like what I bowl as a sport. So, that would be another outlet that I would go to. So those things were cut off, that sport as a whole, I had to give up for about a year. I forget exactly the timeline, but I was basically told to just, I'm extroverted, or at least I believe I am. So being not around people took a lot of the energy out of me. And then I was told to go on to school and do the Zoom calls from my computer. And I was like, I barely have the energy to stand up right now. I don't mean to sound dramatic, but like it was tough for me. And I know for a fact that I didn't care as long as I passed at that point. And even then I just barely, by the skin of my teeth. And my attendance was terrible. Thank you. But I guess a big part in helping to manage that was just like, even though it was hard for me to feel the connection with my friends and my communities, I just had to make the most of it and try to make some sort of bond online. Video games especially was something that was able to connect us, that what, even though I can't, go out and do this with you guys and make new experiences, that was one thing that, no matter what friend I had, we just all agreed on that, like, that was the thing that brought us together. And even as the lockdown lifted, there was, well, not the lockdown is in like, we're allowed to go back into school. A bit, I was ready to start to give it my all. And I can't, I guess this is like specific to me, but the first week I got back, my teacher got COVID, and we were all basically, half the class was told to quarantine. I was not vaccinated at the time. I technically was, but they didn't consider me because it was of how long I was. And for my school specifically, they didn't set up Google Classroom until October. So I was told to quarantine for a week while everyone else was learning, and a week into school. And I'm just told when I get back, oh, you got to make it up. Like, here you go. So that took everything out of me, that I just couldn't, I didn't have the, sorry. I didn't have the will to pick it up and, keep going and be like, yeah, let me get these good grades again, because, the second I come back and it's like something again just wants to take all that away from me. But I definitely got to say that going back to school and being able to, as hard as they can to try and build a sense of community again, it really helped a lot. And just the new opportunities. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Enrique. That's really great. Thank you. Now I'm going to pass it to, and apologies if I say your name incorrectly, Tecumseh. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, okay. They put their response in the chat. So let me just read. They said, it was all stressful when COVID hit. Everything was different. We couldn't even go outside without wearing a mask. when we had to join more than 5 Zoom calls a day, it was so difficult for me. I had to get used to it because back then there wasn't a day that I wouldn't be stressed out about doing over 7 homeworks a day. Many teachers were giving out homework. They didn't care, and they didn't care how much homework we had for other classes. It was just a lot for me to deal with. It was so tough for me to even do my homework. I wasn't motivated at all because of how much stress I had on my shoulders. I tried to give it my all, but it just wasn't working. So when we went back to school, I felt like it was going to be hard for everyone to go back to normal. But going back to school in person feels really good again. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right, well, now I'm going to open up the floor to anyone on this call that wants to add on to this.
Everyone, I want to commend everyone for sharing. And I, for one, learned quite a bit. And but the questions do come to mind that weren't discussed. I didn't hear, and that was substance abuse. Anything that of the family, someone in the family, because when you're close knit, there are real things happen, and sometimes we don't want to talk about them, but they are realities of our existence, and they affect our children, our children, and vice versa. The children affect the adults as well. So I would like to know, has anyone experienced that occurring during the pandemic of substance abuse? If they would care to share. Okay, I'll move to my next question. How did you deal with anyone? How did you deal with the changing of the time? Because many of our schedules of sleep altered. A lot of the children would stay up late at night or all night or break day, go to sleep at 5 o'clock in the morning. And now all of a sudden, when school reopens, have to get up at 8 and go to school all day and pay attention, and the sleep. How, if anyone has overcome that, how did they do it? And if they can share that. Thank you.
Hello. Sorry, you can go first.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that like I'm currently going through that right now. But I think because I'm going to school, and so like, and all my classes are in person, and I'm taking 4 of them. So when I came back to school for this semester, it was so hard, and I was like, oh, last semester was so like it was good. I was doing 2 classes like in person, and they were in the afternoon, and they were like nice and chill. But then going into the semester where all of my classes are in person, and I have like this whole day packed. Literally today, I'm in school from 12:15 to like now. And it's honestly tiring. I forgot how tiring it was, and I've had a conversation with some other people who also go to college and to school, and they've had the same situation where they're like, I'm exhausted at the end of the day. And it's like, how did they even do this pre-COVID? Like, I don't remember being so exhausted at the end of the day just from going to classes. Like, sure, like oh, I'm like tired and everything like that, but like getting up in the morning and going to like bed at night, it's like, it's tough. Like, because it's like, it's all the traveling. If your transportation in your school is far away, traveling for like an hour takes up so much of your day. Whereas in quarantine, you're just like, I have so much time in the day. And it feels like there's no time in the day now when your whole schedule is packed. And so that's something that I'm currently trying to get transitioned to. And also the whole thing about like waking up early. I'm not a morning person, so like I'm trying to get myself to be more of a morning person because it's like I want more time in the day rather than waking up at like 12 p.m. or like 10 a.m. Like 10 a.m. is like late to me. And like, I don't want to be that kind of person. So I'm really just trying to train myself to go to sleep early and wake up early as well. It's an ongoing process, but
Thank you, Angelica, because I was really wondering how, about the adjustment. And it's an emotional, psychological, and mental adjustment as well, not just a physical sleep deprivation. However, I know too, like it's like having a day job and then all of a sudden switch to a night job, the 12 o'clock midnight shift. And I know you have to make certain adjustments to your daily activities in order to manage that type of shift. And the next question that I did have was, how did you feel once you was able to reunite with a lot of your classmates that physically see people that you have missed for like more than a year, and then all of a sudden now you're in the same environment again? So someone said they felt really good about it. Shanice, I'll give it back to you right now because that's about the only few questions that I had. And Angela, you did an excellent job in explaining how you felt and dealt with the time sequences. Thank you, Imam Shahid.
I actually think we had one more youth that wanted to speak, Enrique, for question number 2.
That was regarding the sleep schedule.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, all I wanted to say was personally, it was hard to recover from. I basically destroyed my sleep schedule over the pandemic, especially with the Zooms, because, and it wasn't just me, it was my friends as well. I wouldn't care about what time I would go to sleep. I'd go to sleep well after it became light out, even on days that I had school. You know, there was nothing to get up for. There was nothing to go to sleep for. It was just whenever I decided to pass out, there was no, how do I say, like, because I was able to miss so many calls, it just allowed me to mess up my sleep schedule like that. And it's, continue to this day. Like, I know I have to be up every day for school in person, but it's carried on. I try, but it just gets beyond me sometimes.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I completely agree with that. It kind of feels like why am I waking up for Zoom school, right? Like, it's not real school. Like, it doesn't like satisfy your routine and what you're used to. Thank you, Enrique, for sharing. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that shared. There are more responses in the chat. Angelica said, I miss the interactions with people other than my family, even though I love them. I think I might have cried when I saw one of my friends who I didn't see for almost a year and some change. Yeah, it's really tough. Thank you so much, Angelica. So thank you again all for sharing. And as we prepare to close, I just want to give any adults participating the opportunity to chime in on their thoughts or suggestions or questions, any other questions for young people.
Yeah, it's Neil Berry. Can I speak for a second?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you included it in this conversation I jumped on, but the faith base has a different approach and it uses. I come from a faith-based perspective. And many of the children who come out of some of these churches, some out of these very faith or temples or synagogue, have a sense of healing. And we use a lot of these scriptures to address the facts that many of the things you're talking about is faith-based. And I always wondered if when you talk to these people who have a faith-based background, do you utilize that tool? Because you talked about substance abuse. Many of your substance abuse programs use a spiritual transformation as a ways of getting the change in the values that are very much implemented. So even though we have this problem in this this country with this faith-based thing, but many of the values come out of the Black church. Many of the values come out of our temples and synagogues. So take a look at that when you're talking about maybe the meditation and the prayer as a means of relieving some of these burdens. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Neil. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
Yeah, that's definitely correct. It's right on point with that. Having faith base to some of these situations is very instrumental. But the faith base is something that is a structure that should be implemented even prior to pandemic. We all have a structure and we all have a way of life, and this should be incorporated into the rearing of our youth. And so that's very good to point out. However, we also have to be reared in the mental health and wellness, which should be connected with the faith base. All of this should be interactive as opposed to separate. As the science is the weapon that we use against bacteria and other illnesses. And that's with mental health, medical health, and all of the other aspects of our existence. So I thank you for that, Brother Neil.
Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for sharing. I just want to also commend the young people for speaking out and saying, how they felt during the pandemic and even now, and how they dealt with everything. And it takes a lot to be vulnerable, so thank you so much. Taisa will be coordinating a follow-up to this session with our partners where young people can ask questions to health professionals. So if you're interested in attending that, keep up with us on social media. And we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and TikTok at Taisa Network. We'll put it in the chat. But thank you so much. If House of Community has any closing thoughts, then we're good to go.
Dr. Leah, do you have any closing thoughts? I know Dr. Leah had a question, but she seemed, I think every time she tried to get on, there was someone that was speaking over her. So Doc, do you have any last minute words? And do you have a quick question to pose to the young adults that are on here before we close out?
First thing I want to say to the young adults that presented, the honest feelings was, I am so proud of you and honored for you to be my teacher tonight. It takes a lot of courage to acknowledge when we come to a point in our lives to have struggle, and when there's a hiccup, us adults kind of fake it till we make it. But you guys were brutally honest, and when you couldn't get up, you just sat right down and you stayed there. And when I say stay there, that means until you was able to get up or to ask for assistance to get up, you just stayed in place until the dust settled. And we didn't even discuss some of the things that some of the losses you did mention your frustrations, but maybe for our next session we'll talk about the losses, maybe scholarships that were being applied for, grants that were being applied for, and then when COVID shut down, they just kind of like in a marionette or puppets, the strings were just cut. And then no one asked the youth, the young people, what can we do to make this better? You were just acted upon, but not invited to the table. For me and for Betel Jamaat particularly, we really, and Taisa, we really wanted your voice to be heard first and foremost, and to honor that. And we will follow up with all your suggestions, criticism and critiques, so that we will be able to serve you in the best manner. You are the future of our society, and we must make every effort to make growth and development as pleasant as possible, and to be shoulder to shoulder in the effort for making progress. So again, I just want to thank you for you, just marvelous. You are my heroes and sheroes at this point in time. And then I'm honored to be a part of this program, and it's an ongoing program. All right. Thank you. And for all our partners in the association, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay.
Sean, any last minute words, or Kelly Villar or Antoinette, any last minute words before we sign off?
No, I just want to thank the young people. I think it's takes some bravery to get vulnerable and share on screen how you're managing your mental health, your emotional health. So I just kind of want to give a quick applause to them, and thanks for allowing Tyson to be a part of it. And I'll hand it off.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Have
you.
a good night.
Good night, all. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
God bless.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thanks, John. This was good.